All right, this is pile number 4. Hey, number 4. You picked the rose quartz. The rose quartz is stone of love, healing, protection of your heart and your heart space where our emotions are housed. It also brings to mind a passionate embrace. So we're going to take a look at the cards you have and see what's been going on in your situation. Has somebody betrayed you for clout, been mistreating you, making you feel misaligned, and all the things that you've been trying to do in your relationship? All right, and we have the Nine of Coins. The Nine of Coins is very significant in that nines talk about us coming to a place of fulfillment, and then tens talk about completion and then also starting over with a new beginning, at the start of a new cycle. So the nine of coins is someone who is I associate this card with being single and ready to mingle. Because the Nine of Coins person is usually someone who is single and happy for it. They're doing well financially. They have, this garden. They live in luxury. This is somebody who has free time for their hobbies, which is why she's like raising an owl. It also talks about having a strong sense of self reliance and self faith. Self reliability, I would even say. And it also talks about you having created a sacred space for yourself. So this could be, since with this card and this spread that I'm doing, it talks about the situation's current energy, what's going on. So let's see. Okay. So the Nine of Coins is a card that I also associate with the Empress, as it being someone who was basically waiting for their glow up, so to speak. I also like this card from this deck because I associate it with some very witchy energy with her holding this staff made of wheat. The Empress talks about abundance, fertility, and wheat is basically a plant that is associated with that. It's associated with harvest time. Many different places grow wheat as a means of supporting themselves because they use it for so many different things. Wheat is ground into flour, which is used to make bread and all kinds of other different things that use dough. Let's see. So definitely says that if you are in this place, the Nine of Coins, either you're growing into your Empress energy, or with the Empress being associated with divine feminine energy, she's also associated with being a partner to the Emperor. So the Empress is associated with marriage. So it could be that you've recently had maybe a relationship come to an end and that now you're single. Could be a marriage, could be a long-term commitment, because they're basically the same thing in my mind. And the Devil card. Okay. So the Devil card is associated with shadow. It is associated with us being chained to materialism, but it can also talk about you having a very codependent bond with somebody. And with this being the next card, this moves into a little bit more closer to our present energy. I have another 3 cards here because I only meant to have 4 and I pulled out a couple extra, so I just kept them. And it seems like there may have been, the word deception came to mind. Maybe even cheating. I think the Devil card can also talk about you giving into your baser desires. So, desires for basically, let's say, just sex or sexual activity without intimacy. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but that's usually the idea behind cheating, that you're cheating on someone for the fulfillment of knowing that you're doing something that's taboo that you're not supposed to do, which is why it's a base desire. This will talk about somebody maybe having stepped out on you, but can also talk, I feel like, for some of you coming to some new insight in regard to your sexuality, maybe wanting to try some things. Reminds me of that Rihanna song. It's just sticks and stones may break my bones, but chains and whips excite me. So come on, so come on. Let's see. Man. Okay. So definitely have, I feel like, multiple storylines happening here. So the Hermit card. So the Hermit card talks about going into a period of seclusion, solitude, basically to gain insight or knowledge into some things that you may have been going through in your life. This could be that you've gone through some lessons and you're trying to digest everything that you've learned. It could be that you are on your own for the first time in a while because with the card being about you going into seclusion, you're obviously not being very social. It could be talking about it is maybe in relation to this situation here with the devil and the empress, that you were with someone and now that you're not. So you're trying to figure out who you are outside of a long-term commitment or long-term relationship, which can be difficult when you've been with someone for a long time. Yeah. And then we have the Justice card here. So the Justice card talks about basically having a payout or a karmic payout. Basically, if somebody has been doing right, they get right back. If somebody has been doing wrong, they get wrong back. But this also can talk about the law specifically. So if, say, for example, with these two cards here, it could talk about a divorce or a separation or some kind of contractual obligation coming. I was going to say to an end, but I can't really say that. But however it is that it's turning out, say that you're trying to get some kind of divorce settlement or some kind of spousal support, the Justice upright says that you will get what you deserve out of this situation. And let's see. And one thing I noticed with these two cards is with the Hermit and the Justice card, they're facing away from each other. And it reminds me of two people going through some kind of court proceeding. Say, if you would have been facing each other otherwise, like this. In the proceedings, you're obviously going to be sitting opposite each other or separate from each other because you're going to be on either side of the table or the courtroom or what have you, depending on what's going on there. So it could talk about the dissolution of a marriage or some kind of long-term commitment. And then this last card is the Star card reversed. So the Star card upright, it talks about healing, renewal. It talks about having faith, trust, divine guidance. But it also talks about taking the wisdom from your past and using it take the knowledge from your past and using it as wisdom to guide your way forward. And with this card reversed, I feel like it says that you don't have a lot of hope in terms of the way things are going. And, I just want to let you know that with the Justice card, it does say that you're going to get if there's any kind of compensation you deserve, you're going to get it. Or if there's any kind of outcome you're wanting to have in a situation, that it's going to come into your favor. So try not to worry about that too much. So getting some oracle cards for more understanding of your situation. We have positive movement forward, which is, I think this is associated with, is it the Eight of Coins? And this, I think in this Oracle deck is similar to the Eight of Coins. Let's see. Eight of Coins. So either way, positive movement forward, I feel like is self-explanatory. As you can see, this person is going out to sea. They're sailing off literally into what looks like the beginning of a sunset. The waters in front of the boat are being bathed gold by the sun. And there's even a bird there, as if it's like, spirit guiding this person forward. So eights are also numbers of manifestation, which is very interesting because the 7 is associated with intuition and psychic abilities. So definitely trusting your instincts about this situation is a necessity and allowing you to figure out what to do next and where you're going from here. And it just made me realize there are two nines in this because I was talking about numerology before, and nines, like I was saying, are numbers of fulfillment. So definitely talks about you finding fulfillment in this situation regardless. So I'm really happy to hear that because you deserve it. And here we go. We have another 8 here with accelerated motion. So it seems to me that there have been maybe an energy of things kind of being a little stagnant, and they're finally starting to shift a bit with the positive movement forward and the accelerated motion card. So that's always fortunate. It's really troublesome, especially if this is some kind of situation where you do have to go to court over it, or you've been in negotiations for a while, because both of these things are talking about them being beneficial for you in the way that they're going to conclude. And look at this. Here we go. We have another 9 with material harvest. Yeah. Yes. I will say this. Material harvest is also the oracle card is representation of the 9 of coins. So if this is about you leaving them, honey, well, you're about to take him for what he has. I can assure you of that. You're about to get some comeuppance. He's gonna pay what he owes. Oh yes. And then we have the authority card here. Look at this man with his arms crossed. So the authority card is also known as the Emperor, which is who? The husband of the Empress. So I'll tell you this. If this is the person that you were previously tied to, well, this is falling underneath the Justice card. So I can assure you that there is something that they must owe you, and if that is the case, it is coming. And if it is a reverse of the situation, and you are the person who is I guess it's like if it's a reverse of the situation and you are the person who is the masculine in this situation, well, I just only hope that you were doing right by this person. And then we have the last card, which is the waiting game. And this came out originally reversed, which we don't represent or recognize reversals in this deck, but we do take notice of them. And the waiting game definitely talks about the words you getting that check, or they cutting you that check. One of those two. It's only a matter of time. So don't get too caught up about that. And now this was these next few cards were about whether or not you should stay or go, or if you were going to stay, whether or not the situation could be transformed. And well, while we have a lot of different cards from them, I'm sorry I'm laughing, y'all, but it's just like I don't know what it is about people getting what they're owed, or if it's somebody who's ever been stingy with their money and they act like, they get to, like, because the authority card is somebody who thinks they're the boss. Look at his arms crossed. That's not inviting at all. It doesn't feel like somebody you could trust. Because the thing about the Emperor is that he is someone that you can rely on to provide stability. So usually that comes in the way of finances. But in terms of emotional availability, in the story of the Arcana, the Fool goes on a journey to learn things about himself and make all kinds of different discoveries. And it is the Empress who takes care of him on that journey. When he's hungry, she feeds him. When he needs comfort, she comforts him. But it's the Emperor who teaches him how to take care of himself. And that does require, some level of sacrifice, in that people don't get to associate you with anything nice. And if this is like it's supposed to be a relationship, you want to have somebody who is going to be emotionally supportive of you. And from this point of view, I can't see why you would have all of these cards offering you some kind of comfort about this dark situation represented by the devil if this person hasn't done anything wrong. But because I know energy doesn't represent gender, I will say this. that if this was the opposite, the explanation still fits. That if the person hasn't done right by you, then things will turn out in best benefit for you. So let's see. So now we have these tarot cards talking about whether you should transform or move on. And then we have the death card reversed. So the death card is supposed to talk about transformations, awakenings, things coming to their own end, or the inevitable conclusion. And with this being reversed, it talks to me about a situation remaining unchanged. So if we were looking for transformation here, it would have been like this. But with this being the case, I don't see this being something that you can change. And I think that if anything, it feels to me like it would just get more strange. I don't know why those words come to me, but or more estranged if that's the case. Because if this is like if you're living in your nine of coins energy, then you probably already live somewhere else. And you really need that space too, as far as the Hermit card is talking, regardless of, who's whatever, the masculine or the feminine. We have the Hierophant, which is interesting energy here because the Hierophant is something that represents organizations, traditional leanings, religion usually, but it also is a card associated with deeper levels of commitments, most specifically marriage. So this falls in the same energy as the Empress and the Accelerated Motion card. So apparently, if this is representing an organization, we can assume that from the Accelerated Motion, which is also known as the Eight of Wands, you will be hearing something soon. Maybe a subpoena, something like that just came to mind. A subpoena for court. Reporting to court. You'll hear something soon. So just wait for it. We have the Temperance card. Okay. So Temperance. Temperance is a card of healing, of patience, of also another card I associate with divine intervention. Because the Judgment card has Gabriel on it, the Herald of Angels. And then this card, while I don't have a name for an angel for you, this is a card I also associate with transformation because of the alchemy here with the pouring of one goblet into the other and the standing on the earth and having one foot in the sea. Because the Temperance card and the Star card are heavily tied. As the Star card represents someone pouring water that they gather from a pool into a barren wasteland. And the idea is that it teaches the fool to recognize that even when things are difficult, there can be growth in terms of moving forward. It just all requires you having faith and trusting that you will be guided towards the place of your own personal or best benefit. And the Temperance card is another card I associate with that message, as it talks about you taking what has happened and using it to formulate something that will be more beneficially for yourself. So say, for example, you see these rocks here. Assume that this earth here where these flowers have grown were also like these rocks with nothing growing on them, and as a result of this angel pouring the water from the ground onto the earth, that the flowers were able to grow. So there's definitely healing here. It definitely talks about there being a chance for you to be reborn as well. And looking at this, there is a palace behind this angel. You see that there? So this could talk about you getting, because it's right here with material harvest. So it could talk about you getting your own place in terms of just receiving additional messages as they're pointing out to me. So I definitely would say look forward to hearing about some things that are going to benefit you. And then to make up the rest of this, we have the Ace of Wands. So this is so great. So to have a spread end on an ace talks about there being a new beginning for you. especially associated with it coming after this period of solitude that is represented by the hermit. Um, so it falls under the Justice card and the Authority card here in our deck. And thinking about it, the Authority card could also be a judge. As he's standing here between two pillars, looking as if he is standing in judgment of whoever is in front of him, because the Authority card has this little wreath on his head, this laurel, and that's associated, I want to say, with the emperors of old of Rome. So think how they say yay or nay to performers or gladiators in the Colosseum. And then for those not in the know, in Rome, there were colosseums where gladiators or warriors fought each other to the death, basically for the entertainment of the people. And when somebody performed well, the emperor would give them basically grace and say yes, or if they didn't perform well, they would say no, and they basically, I guess, get executed on the spot or like fed to lions or something. That's a bit of a tangent, but basically to explain why I feel as if this is the case, there's going to be some atonement here through the interference of a third party. This could be like somebody who is of authority, with it being the Authority card. But nonetheless, the Ace of Wands talks about a new passionate beginning, being revitalized. As you can see, that this is a phoenix springing back into action. And it talks about you finding a sense of reinvigoration, of renewal, of rebirth as well here. This will definitely talk about it being a positive omen of you finally having things become more clear for you. So let's see. So this next set of tarot cards I associate with asking so these cards talked about whether or not you should stay and transform, if you could stay or transform the relationship, or if you should leave. So we're going to assume they mean that the transformation that's going to happen is going to be for you. And so if that is the case, then what is your next best move? Let's see. Okay. So we have the Ten of Pentacles. So the Ten of Pentacles is a card that's associated with long-term commitment in terms of relationship. It could also be something that would herald a marriage. But for me, I'm going to look at this also from the point of it being a settlement and you coming into a sudden or unexpected fortune as a result of that. Let's see. One thing that's pointing out to me is the little banners that are hanging up here. So think about this being a celebration of some things becoming clear. This is falling into the same place as the Nine of Coins, the positive movement forward, the Death card reverse, and the Ten of Pentacles here. So while things apparently will not change in one aspect, as a result, there is going to be some kind of wealth that you're going to come into. So there's that. Let's see. Oh, okay, I get it. He's going to have to take care of you is something that came through. This is the Three of Swords. So the Three of Swords talks about us being basically in a place of experiencing grief, loss. In this sense, I feel is very tied to a breakup or a divorce. But also at the same time, once we allow this period to run its course, because it falls here with the Hierophant card, once we allow this period to run its course, you're going to move into the energy of the Four of Swords, which is about recovering, restoring yourself, and preparing for your next move. Yeah, and then we have the Seven of Swords. So the Seven of Swords, it is associated with things for a lot of people like betrayal, cheating, deception. But it also feels to me about it, being strategic. I mean, after all, the idea is usually somebody like sneaking off with a bunch of swords. Well, they had to make a plan of action in order to do that. And I feel like there is a call here with this falling under the Temperance card where you need to make a plan of action about how you're going to move forward. Where are you going to go? You know, who do you want to be now that you're essentially freed from whatever was going on here? Um, do you want to, move? Do you want to stay where you are? Is there something that you've always been planning, something you've always been wanting? It's time for you to strategize. Time for you to maybe even do some investigation if you haven't. If there has been some level of deception in the relationship, it could be to your benefit to, I don't know, hire a detective or something like that. And then this last card is the Knight of Pentacles. So honestly, this is a fantastic finish in terms of our tarot cards here in group 4. It's because the Knight of Coins, while the Knights represent action, the Knight of Coins is really the only card or the only knight who for sure gets to the finish line, because he makes slow movement and slow progress. He's a moving knight in the whole, arcana, but he gets to where he's going. And it could be that you're implementing some kind of incremental change, or you're waiting for something to change in a situation. It may not necessarily be moving as fast as you would like, but it's definitely going to be to your benefit, especially from a financial aspect. All right, so now we have our Angelarium Oracle of Emanation deck here, just for advice and outcome. We have Da'at, null, emptiness. This card, see, the Angelarium deck talks about the angels of emanations. The emanations are the various parts of the world tree, the tree of knowledge of the religion of Kabbalah, which basically they express these understandings as all of them making up what we understand as God, or as what they call Yesod. And Da'at is what sits in the middle. Nothingness does mean the void, but it can also talk about you coming to a place of peace through meditation and reaching what they call blanket consciousness. So basically allowing yourself to just allow whatever thoughts that come to just pass through you without any attachment to them. It allows you to be in complete peace and reach a level of bliss that comes from being completely detached from things, and then also recognizing that it is from this emptiness, this bliss, that we are able to reach enlightenment. And as a result of reaching enlightenment, we are able to exist completely freely without being weighed down by our past circumstances, and free of anything that may have been holding us down, so to speak. Yesod, root connection. So yeah, it definitely talks about you entering into a period where you have to start over completely, but also at the same time, you can use this as a chance to reach a deeper level of connection with yourself. That can talk about, taking time to recover your mental health, to get into a place of forgiveness. Because while you don't need to forget anything that's happened, forgiveness is necessary for us to reach a certain level of peace. Coming to a sense of self-awareness as well. And I think that this also will allow you to take the chance to, basically plant your roots somewhere else and see what else you can grow there now that you're able to move forward and do things that you want to do. Uriel, Angel of Flame. So Uriel, Angel of Flame. So it talks about you basically letting anything that you no longer need just be burned away. It could be burning you up in terms of anger. It can be burning you up in terms of feeling like you want revenge. But also at the same time, this is an angel who talks about letting everything that you don't need, everything that's holding you down, basically fall into the flames and become ash and return to wherever. And this is something that you can ask for assistance from your angels, your spirit guides, your ancestors, especially if you're someone who is into occult things and maybe you keep an altar, you can definitely do a petition, write down all the things you want to be freed from and burn it at the altar and ask for assistance with an offering of your ancestors with releasing all of these things. It can also be something that you do that's just therapeutic. It doesn't have to be specifically tied to spiritual reasons. How beautiful. So this last card we have is Material, the Angel of Rain. So it talks about being soothed, recognizing that all these moments that we have do exist and they exist all at once and they fall like raindrops. And this can be about you recognizing that even if the situation happened and it caused you grief, you can let those tears flow, you can let that grief wash away. You can also recognize that even if things aren't the way that they used to be, there may have been beauty in those moments and they did exist even now if they feel like history. And allowing yourself to experience the flow of emotions and to grieve as you need to grieve, but to not stay anywhere in a state of sadness too long. And this talks about recognizing the beauty of your emotions as well. And while the road may seem long now, it's only a matter of time for things to come to their conclusion, and then that will be a part of your past as well. So definitely recommend, if you can, to get you some rose quartz to meditate with and help you heal, even if it's just to look at it because it's pretty and it comes from the planet. But I really hope things go well for you, Pal 4, and I thank you so much for being here with me. Do be sure to check down in the description box below for any information in terms of services I offer, especially if you would like to book a personal reading for yourself. And be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And I love you. Goodbye.